Welcome to the latest episode of Sir Storia. Today we're going back to Youngstown, only this time we're not talking about something with the Mafia, nor are we talking about something with football. No, we're going to Dennick Avenue and we're talking about something different today. Something you may not even be aware of. The General Fireproofing Company was founded in 1902 in Youngstown, Ohio as a manufacturer of building materials. In the midst of the 1907 panic that brought construction to a halt, the company made a strategic decision. They shifted their focus to highlight their line of steel office furniture. As part of this initiative in 1910, GF successfully introduced its first four-drawer steel filing cabinet and later unveiled their first fireproof safe in 1912. Enter the 1600 series. Nearly 300 pounds of Youngstown steel coming right at you, ready to crack your back like a YouTube chiropractor. GF decided to produce the 1600 standardized steel desk, which could be made on assembly. This led to the introduction of the 1600 series in 1925, which was produced well into the 1970s. Starting in the 1950s, these were the largest selling commercial office desks in the world. The 1600 series was not an IKEA desk. No, this was built with Youngstown steel and it was made to last for centuries, which is why you still see these desks out in the world today. As you could see, it featured steel construction, tough top materials, protective binding, and graceful corner legs that looked like they could easily bash a tibia. But the GF product line wasn't finished yet, which is how I came across my first mystery. According to notes online, the world's first aluminum office chair was designed by the Alcoa Company in 1924. In 1929, GF began manufacturing their own aluminum chairs, the first of which shipped in 1930. So if you look at the Emeco, they sure look a lot alike. During World War II, GF ceased production of all its regular products in order to manufacture aircraft parts for the war effort. In the photos you can see here that we are looking at the ailerons, rudder, and a stabilizer for the Bell P-63. What's interesting about the Bell P-63 is it looks like they were not used by the U.S. military, but were in fact shipped by the thousands to the Soviet Union in a lease program. After World War II, it was back to business, and GF began the Mode Maker line in collaboration with Raymond Lowery, a genius industrial designer of that time. Featured here is his tanker desk, a moon blue powder coat with black linoleum and sleek curved legs. If you can get your hands on one, you'll be $2,000 richer. At least that's how the last one sold for. Let's talk about that for a second. GF seems to have a hell of a history and be a really great company. Look at these products on the internet right now. $4,500, $2,000, $3,000. This is GF. Look at this, $8,000. These are products that are out there. They're desirable, they're rare, and they're very, very expensive. GF was everywhere. Here they are in an episode of Star Trek, featured on luxurious trains. Their desks were built to hold elephants. That's not even a joke. They really were. They're everywhere. They're built to last. They probably still are. So how does that company stop? How does it turn into this? So let's see what happened to GF and what led up to it. It turns out that GF actually went bankrupt in 1989, and many of General Fireproofing's furniture lines were discontinued in the 1970s. But what's interesting is, if we look at this article from the Vindicator in 1970, November 18th, it says, General Fireproofing sues American Seating. The General Fireproofing Company is accused a New York director shareholder of American Seating Company Tuesday of conspiring to bring about a merger of the two companies that was in violation of antitrust and securities laws. So it's interesting. The problems were going on. The CEO was talking about labor costs, lots of competition, and you can see there was an attempt here in 1970 to actually do a merger. Now, if we go forward here, we move on to February 13th of 1972. GF is struggling in a financial vice. One of Youngstown's district's top-ranking older fabricating companies, General Fireproofing Company, is virtually hanging on the ropes, gasping for financial breath, a victim of the district's special kind of squeeze. The squeeze is that of between constantly rising employment costs and rigid price ceilings, fixed by competition with an inability to get more productivity to help compensate for the higher costs. As a result, the security of GF's 1,200 factory jobs, what is left from its one-time ceiling of about 4,400, are in jeopardy. You can read more here. I'm going to put links into it, but you can see that the writing was on the wall early 70s. And what's interesting is Black Monday, which is famous in Youngstown, is when the Youngstown steel mills closed, I believe was in 77. So you can kind of see that the 70s really everything starts breaking down in Youngstown for all of its industries. But it's interesting because GF was producing a very exciting product that's still around, and it was furniture. It wasn't necessarily something like steel mills that were being outsourced out of the country or relocated. But it would be really interesting to hear from ex-employees to discuss the final years. But it really looks like the reason that General Fireproofing isn't around today is due to financial problems with labor costs, tons and tons of competition, which I think I even read in one of the articles in the Vindicator. We were talking like hundreds of different aluminum and seating companies making furniture. So it looks like that's what finally did them in. But it's nice to know that they existed. It's incredible to think that their products are still around today, and they're highly sought after and valuable. And what I learned from it is it's just another thing about Youngstown's legacy that really sets us apart from other places, and that history can still be celebrated and seen today, and possibly in your home or office. So if you're an ex-employee or a family member or have some kind of connection to GF or General Fireproofing, please leave some comments. We'd love to hear about it and hear some stories about the company.